Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are in Nevis today. This is Vance Armory International Airport. We are in the Cessna 172. The reason we're in the Cessna 172, not the mighty 152, is because this airplane actually has some weight to it. It's not getting thrown around like the 152 is. Alright, rotating beacon on. Mixture is rich. Master and battery switches on. Oh, those aren't the master and battery switches. Master and battery switches on. Avionics master switches on. Throttle cracked. There is nobody to injure or maim. Engage the starter. Engine turns over just fine. The one golden rule in airplanes is never flip a switch without looking to see what switch you're flipping, and I consistently fail to do that, so I think that's something I need to really get through my thick skull here. Alright, altimeter is 1015. Let's go 122.8. Transponder, I'm gonna go squawk altitude right now because otherwise I will forget. Let's see, 1015 the standby altimeter. Alright, I think we're in pretty good shape here. Having strobe lights on, taxi light on. I didn't turn the fuel pump on to start the engine, so I don't have to turn it off now. That's okay, because I would have forgotten. And then I'd be ready to take off. So, switch the nav com. Excuse me, switch to the com 1. All good to go. So the point of today's flight actually is to check. I want to check the hills and mountains and stuff. I mean, of course, what a dumb idea to go check the hills and mountains in the Caribbean. You would think maybe I would go to, like, Colorado or something, but no, not that quick. Alright, taxi light is on. Let's see, this is taxiway. Let's go full screen. Doesn't have... that's taxiway alpha, okay. Nevis traffic, Skyhawk 172 Mike Romeo taxiing to runway 10 via taxiway alpha, Nevis. Okay. I don't know a good way to ruin your brakes. This is how to do it. But in Microsoft Flight Simulator, there's really there's no turning radius on these airplanes at all. Speaking of brakes, you always got to test your brakes as soon as you get moving. This is an awesome freeware airport from flightsim.to. I love this little airport. It's just awesome. I am on full left rudder and turning right here. So when I flew into St. Kitts earlier today, the mountains looked terrible. So I decided since I'm having such good graphics and performance, that I would just crank up my settings and see if that helps. Alright, flight control check. Up on that side, down on that side. Up on that side, down on that side. Flaps. Down and indicating. All the way down on that side, all the way down on that side. Yeah, so I figured my all the way down on that side, all the way down on, or all the way up on that side, all the way up on that side rather. Elevator's moving properly. Let's engage the brake. Alright, mixture is rich. Fuel pump is on. Throttle to 2,000 RPM. Too busy, 1,700 rather. I'm too busy talking than paying attention to what I'm doing. Which is not good in airplanes. Alright. 1,700, 1,690 is good. Alright, left magneto. Good drop. Back to both. Right magneto. Good drop. Back to both. There is no carb heat. There's no fuel pressure gauge either. So let's go throttle idle. Throttle idle check is just fine. Throttle back to 1,000. Taxi light off. Landing light on. Transponder is walking altitude. Frequencies are set. I do not see any traffic on the G1000. I see no traffic on the iPad either. Runway looks clear. Nevis traffic. Skyhawk 172 Mike Romeo taking runway 10 for departure to the east. Nevis. Yeah, and again, I'm gonna release the parking brake.
Approaching runway 1028. Entered runway 1028.
Jeez, look at this. I have full left rudder in, and I cannot. And the airplane is just turning straight right. I don't know what that's all about. I also don't understand what. Alright, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Let's get a look real quick at the mountains, the hilly terrain. It looks alright from here. Alright. Takeoff power is coming in. Takeoff power is set. Oil pressure is in the green. I am using right rudder, which is an unusual feeling in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Airspeed is alive. 75. And rotate. Basically straight out departure. I mean, there's no basically about it. It is a straight out departure. Alright, the mountains are definitely looking better. Yeah, they're looking better. Performance is still excellent, even though I jacked my graphics settings a bit. I mean, it's looking great. Not a lot of navigating to be done on this flight. 1000 PAG. Let's turn the fuel pump off. I don't see a fuel pressure gauge anywhere, or fuel pressure indication anywhere. Fuel flow, oil pressure, oil temperature, fuel quantity. This is actually a pretty cool page, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, so I just totally cranked my graphics settings. Yeah, it looks much better. Still absolutely no stutters at all, which is awesome. I know that's a big one for people. I don't know about you guys, but I think this looks pretty darn good. I'm not gonna bother, you know, I'm tempted to sort of like, okay, it's working well, let's jack it up some more. But I think I'm just gonna leave it. And let's see how we look getting into Antigua here in a little bit. 20-knot headwind on this flight, not much of a flight. I mean, only 40, maybe 45 nautical miles. Wouldn't even count as a cross country in the U.S. Yeah, I mean, performance is awesome. DirectX 12 is a keeper. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not even gonna bother going back to DirectX 11. That's as long as this performance stays like this, DirectX 11 is done for as far as I'm concerned. Alright, and I think I've probably mentioned this on previous flights, but DirectX 12 was unusable for me before. It was just a complete stutter fest. The airplane trimmed, and I might have actually succeeded. You might wonder, well, first of all, just to throw that out there, my computer configuration is my processor's an 8700K, which is overclocked to 4.5. My graphics card is a GTX 1080, which is completely stock, and I have 32 gigs of I believe 3600 megahertz RAM. So all very manly terms, aren't they? But I was going to say, you may be wondering why I don't use Yeah, those mountains are so much better now than they did before. Maybe wondering why I don't use autopilot, because to me, you're gonna fly a Cessna 172 VFR, first of all, in a straight line, which is pretty much what this flight is. I mean, there's just no point in putting on autopilot. Like, if you're gonna do that, just watch a flight on a YouTube video. There's nothing, I don't know. There's nothing complicated about this flight. The only reason I would use autopilot on a 172 is if I was flying IFR, then I absolutely would use it. So let's lean the mixture. Start pulling back on that mixture lever, and you're going to see these EGT numbers go up. And once the hottest cylinder starts going back down, kind of reaches its peak and starts going back down, looks like maybe cylinder number 4. See the red knob coming out. It's already jacking up my RPM. I'll pull that back a little bit. See that EGT? That's exhaust gas temperature. The 1510. Yeah. See, now it just went back down. So 15. I'm gonna push it in just a little bit, and you'll see 1510 or 1505 is about my max. 1505. So then what you do is you just keep pushing that in, back in. 1505 minus 50 is 1455. So you just want to push the knob back in until it gets to 1455, which I'm not even going to get to. 1470 I'm already full in. See how the knob is already full in, and I'm at 1460. My peak EGT was 1455 right there. So what you want to do, you want your EGT to be 50 degrees rich of peak. I'm going to pull that out just a hair until that goes up to 1455. There we go. So you pull this out until that number peaks and starts reversing, and that tells you what your peak exhaust gas temperature is, which is 1505. And then you push the knob back in until you get 50 degrees lean of that number. Why 50 degrees? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is that that's the proper temperature. So I'm just going to push it back in now because I'm to 1475. So what does the mixture knob do? What mixture are we talking about? We're talking about the mixture of fuel and air. And the reason you pull, the way you stop the engine in these little Lycomings, this has a Lycoming engine in it. But I mean any gas-powered propeller aircraft, or any aircraft rather, for that matter. I mean, I don't know about turboprops, but the reason you pull the mixture out to stop the engine is because the mixtures, that's how much fuel is in the fuel-air mixture. So when the mixture knob is all the way out, when you pull it all the way out that way, that means there's no more fuel in the fuel-air mixture. And the engine can't run on air, so it just stops. And the reason this controls temperature, engine temperature, or cylinder head temperature, is because fuel cools the engine. So the more fuel you have in there, the cooler the engine's going to run. Gosh, and this airplane is just oscillating up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Trying to control it, but trying to trim it out. And do I know much about engines? Nope. I don't know much about engines at all. So if anybody comes on in the comments and says, "Hey, you're wrong about that," yeah, I probably am. If you accuse me of being wrong about my theory on engines, you have a a decent chance of being correct that I'm wrong. I really should know more about engines than I do, because when I'm flying, that engine is your life, you know. So I should know more about them than I do. See all the junk, by the way, that I have going to fly. So there's the simulator, there's VATSPY to see who's online. There's FS2FF, which flight simulator to 4Flight, that connects to my charting app on 4Flight. There's my add-ons linker, that's vPilot, which is this. And I've got FSU IPC7 running. A couple of these are I just spared you from coughing in your ears. There's my rudder pedals, chart, SimBrief downloader. Space Desk driver, I don't really use that anymore. Probably should just get rid of that. So, the one thing I always tell myself when I'm flying instruments is that when you're sitting there talking or kind of daydreaming, that's a good sign to wake up and refocus on flying, because there's always something to be done. So, why don't we do that? Altimeter is 1015. And again, Flight Simulator clearly changed my altimeter. I did not ask it to do so. And again, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's weird, it changed the backup altimeter in a different direction. Got news for you, sweetheart. I climbed through transition altitude a while ago. And once again, it changed my altimeter. I don't know why it would do that.
Destination ATIS is 132.4.
Alright, destination ATIS is 132.4. Let's see some white artifacts there. Not artifacts, a big white splotch of turf. Some kind. Alright, weather at VC Bird International Airport. Wind 080, excuse me, wind 080 at 12 knots, 050 to 120 variable. It's down the runway, but it is variable in direction. Visibility greater than 6 miles, clouds scattered at 1900. Temperature 290.23, altimeter 1015. There you go. Density altitude 2002 feet. And what is density altitude? A question that strikes fear in the heart of student pilots everywhere. Density altitude is the effective altitude at which you're flying. It's or at which you are. It's the altitude at which your engine and wings, for that matter, interpret the air being. Density altitude is pressure altitude corrected for non-standard temperature. Standard temperature and pressure being 299 and 58 degrees in the Queen's English, and 1013 and 15 degrees Celsius. Again, we get those these little misty low-level clouds that you do see in the Caribbean. They're freaking awesome in in-flight simulator now. Runway 07, it is aim myself over here a little bit towards that bay right there. It's kind of where you come across that. That's where you're going to be right on final for good old VC Bird Airport. Basically what I'm looking for on this flight is I want the ground to look better. And by ground I mean the terrain. I want the hills and stuff. I don't want them to be if you go back and watch the video that I just did from St. Bart's to St. Kitts, you will notice that towards the end of the flight, as I'm arriving in St. Kitts, there's supposed to be you're supposed to be some decent, nice looking, pretty mountains, and they looked like clay, kind of plastered by a child. It looked pretty terrible. And since I have so much headroom now with DirectX 12, I have so much performance headroom. No stuttering. I just decided to crank up my graphics a little bit more, and so that's what I did, and it's worked out nicely. You know, a lot of people, you know, are really kind of into this whole frames per second business. I mean, if you're gonna be, well, I guess it depends. If you know, if flying airliners into Miami is what you want to do, then you want the, you know, the ability to do that. And I guess I just need to respect that that's what some people want to do. Because what I was going to say is that people are missing out so much on all these beautiful places to fly. Where, you know, I have what is now, you know, what 3 or 4 years ago was a really good computer. Now it's very average, but you know, I was gonna say people should just get out and go, you know, fly the Caribbean, fly places like, I don't know, the Mediterranean, fly places that are beautiful but don't require a you know, there's not a lot of terrain out here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And BC Bird traffic, Skyhawk 172 Mike Romeo is 10 miles to the west inbound runway 7, BC Bird. Just constant oscillation, up, down, up, down, up, down on the nose is getting a little irritating. I have to be completely honest. You know, so I was gonna say, I mean, people should come out and explore the Caribbean. You know, and it's just there's so many cool islands, cool airports. I don't know. I mean, anybody who watches any of my videos realizes that not gonna get bored anytime soon flying the Caribbean. All right, airport elevation is 60 feet, so we're gonna target taxiway Bravo. Bring the power back to about 2100 now. Airport's right over there. This area used to be pretty washed out. I think they've, as a matter of fact, I'm sure they've updated this area, and now it looks a whole lot better. I mean, this is truly the glory days of Caribbean flight simulation. I don't know how many. I wonder how many, like, what percentage of what percentage of pilots are as, like, interested in this region as I am in flight sim. It's really the only place I've ever wanted to fly in flight sim. And it, you know, I mean, you could in Prepared. I mean, it was okay. They had some, you know, some good scenery. First nitro flaps, I'm gonna go mixture rich. It's already rich. Fuel pump is on. Start bringing down that airspeed a little bit. But just the way it looks now around here, I mean, it's just amazing. You know, look at these sceneries. It's just unbelievable. And this is stock scenery in the simulator. I mean, it is stock scenery. It's just so awesome. VC Bird traffic. Skyhawk 172 Mike Romeo is on a 5-mile final runway 7. VC Bird. Sounded like I couldn't decide what I was doing. So, I mean, the scenery is just amazing. Look at this. Look at this. The scenery is just amazing. Put the pitot heat on just because I'm going through some clouds here. Clouds, otherwise known as visible moisture. And I don't want to lose my pitot tube information. Alright, 85 is right there. I'll put those flaps in. And we are what is called way too high. But that's alright. We got a nice long runway. I'm going to drop some altitude here. BC Bird traffic, Skyhawk 172 Mike Romeo, 3-mile final runway 7, BC Bird. No traffic. Definitely a right crosswind. I'm just going to pull the power all the way out now because this airplane is not descending. I mean, I'm still at 1,000 feet. I'm a mile and a half from the threshold. This is kind of embarrassing, actually. It's gonna be, what, 8,000 foot runway and I can't even make it? So, I mean, I guess when anytime you're over any sort of buildings or terrain, it's just,
500. 1 mile, 500. Runway 07.
I'm on about a 500 foot final for runway 07 in my estimation here. I haven't touched any of the controls in like the last 5 minutes. All I did was pull the power out, and now it's gonna zoom up in the air because the airspeed is picked up again. That was a crappy landing. That was a horrible landing, as a matter of fact. I mean, which shouldn't be a surprise in any way, shape, or form because the approach was crap. That's alright. This is really a... it's not alright, but this is really a test for scenery rather than much of anything else. So, I should hold myself to a higher standard of aviation rather than flying like a bozo just because it's a simulator. It does transfer over to my real flying. I'm a much better real pilot than I am a sim pilot. Alright, let's apply the brakes. Lean the mixture for taxi. Put the flaps up. Fuel pump and pitot heat off. Landing light on, taxi light. Landing light off, taxi light on. BC Bird traffic. Skyhawk 172 Mike Romeo's clear the runway, BC Bird. And this is an awesome payware airport. I forgot what I paid for this, but not a whole heck of a lot. Now let's go in parking spot 12 here. So the cool thing is I mean, I just cranked up my graphic settings quite a bit, and I noticed the difference in the graphic settings. I did not see any difference in performance, which means I can turn up my graphics settings some more. So, power to idle, stop on the mark, mixture to idle cut off, throttle is idle, fuel pump is off, avionics master is always the first thing to go off, master and battery switch is off, lights are off, magnetos off. You gotta make sure your magnetos are off. Put in the parking brake and go have a meander around BC Bird Airport. It's a really cool airport. I forgot. I think it's Tropical Sim, and I forgot how much I paid for this. Maybe 13, 15 bucks. Definitely worth it. So that was a cool little graphics check. Yeah, I mean, I think Sim Update 10 is a winner for sure.